Guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. This is going to be a first impressions of a knife that I've been quite curious about for a while. Well, in fact, this is a second iteration of an earlier knife. This is called the Grizzly, and some of you will recognize this logo. For those of you who don't, let's pop this case open. It does come in a pretty impressive case, and here we have the PMP Grizzly. Ships in this pretty fantastic case. It is in bubble wrap, but I didn't put it back in because it ships in a bit of oil. And we have this card, which is in a little plastic sheath, which works pretty well because putting a piece of metal in with a knife is going to, one or the other is going to scratch. So it's nice to see they've done this. This is a really nice little touch. So you can see PMP Knives Switzerland, made by Maxace, D2 steel, titanium handle, and check out the blade thickness. It is fat and the weight is heavy. I really, really like the fact that they're just not taking themselves too seriously here. And that'll kind of be a bit of a theme for this knife. Okay, this is not, you know, the most practical EDC knife out there, you know, in contrast to our discussion of cold steels yesterday, or whenever that video posts. This is insane, okay? This is ridiculous in about the best way that something can be ridiculous. Now, before I get into, you know, the specifics here, I'll just reiterate. So there was an original version of this called the Beast. It had some slight variations to this. I want to say the fuller was sitting a little bit higher on the blade. The grinds were a little bit different. If anything, they have doubled down with this knife, making the blade even more beefy, even more pronounced in terms of its, you know, its hard useness or its heavy dutiness. Let's hit up size and weight here to kind of get us into the sense of this knife right away. So this is 9.5 inches overall. The blade length is 4 and just under an 1/8. The stock on this blade, take a look at this. This is 1/4 of an inch thick. Okay, the titanium slabs themselves are 5/16 or 5/32, I'm sorry. So everything about this knife is insanely massive and huge. It is on washers, so it's not on bearings. I haven't had a chance to really play with the action on this. I get the impression that with a little bit of time and energy, I'll be able to get this quite smooth. The detent is pretty nice. The blade is so big that it'll drop shut only because of the sheer weight of that massive piece of D2 steel. Okay, over here we have a milled clip. There's the lock bar cutout. You can see it's kind of an interesting shape on that lock bar. In the handle itself, I've got to say, is actually not that bad. It's pretty comfortable the way it feels in hand. You can see some nice milling done on this titanium. We've got Torx hardware there. Again, it's a washer pivot rather than bearings, which, you know, if you're going for hard use with it, which this absolutely is, that's definitely the way you want to go. Although I will say, I don't think that the goal here was to create a practical EDC user knife. The goal here was to just go crazy and make the most insane, overbuilt, stupidly sized knife that you could think of, you know, along the lines of the Gladius. And I'm trying to think of the custom maker that did that a couple of years ago. But there was this giant knife called the Gladius that came out a couple of years ago that was just insane. As we look at construction here, it's pretty nicely done. Maxace has done a pretty nice job here. They've even milled out the some weight-saving pockets internally, which is insane. You know, they take this from, I don't know what, 5 pounds down to like 4.99 pounds or something by milling that out. I've got it's odd that they even put in the time and energy. Now, the thing is, this is not a cheap knife, but it is, let's put it this way, it is well put together. So the construction and the fit and finish and the attention to detail is you know, commensurate with its price point. However, the frivolousness of this knife makes it a difficult choice for some people, right? This is not going to be the knife for everybody. This has to be for someone who wants something completely insane and over the top. This is even less practical, I would say, than like the Cold Steel Formax, which is, crazy and impractical, but this is even more so because the blade grinds are done the way that they are. So notice we've got a hollow grind right here. By the way, they've done a really nice finish on this. So we've got a hollow grind here, a flat grind here. This really is a folding pry bar. And if you're seeing a similarity, or if this is giving you the impression of a Medford knife, that's because there is a whole story here. So PMP was inspired by Medford knives. All right. He wanted to make knives that were, or the man behind PMP Knives wanted to make knives that were like Medford knives. In fact, he even approached Greg Medford about some kind of collaboration, and they couldn't work that out. I think the price point that he was going for was just something that Greg wasn't willing to work to, or they couldn't figure out how they would achieve it anyway. And so ultimately he looked at a bunch of manufacturers, you know, went back and forth with a few different places doing some prototypes and stuff like that, ultimately settled on Max Ace. And so far they've done a good job. I mean, we've had the PMP Revenge on this channel, and it was really, really well done. And the same is true of this. Again, you know, this is sort of an experiment in, you know, how crazily overbuilt something can be. And so that's, you know, that is what it is. This is not going to be for everyone. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned the weight, but this is 12.2 ounces. All right. I don't know how heavy the previous version was. I'll have to look that up before I do the full review, but 12.2 ounces is ridiculous, right? Like it's insane. This is almost a full pound. All right. So what do I think of this? What's my initial impression? Well, you know, this is, you know, pretty delightful, actually. Okay, when I get this in, when I pick this up and fool around with it, I'm like, yeah, this just makes me smile. All right, it's not, and it's not meant to do anything but that. Okay, it absolutely is stupidly, insanely overbuilt, and it knows that. And by the way, I have to say, let me close by bringing this card back out and just pointing out that I love the fact that they're not taking themselves too seriously. Okay, they know this is insane. And so when they describe the blade thickness as fat and the weight as heavy, that's a perfect way to kind of wrap this knife up. Okay, this knife is not trying to be something it's not. It's absolutely insane, and it just embraces that. I do love, by the way, since we're talking about this metal card is a great touch. Very, very classy. And look, I've fingerprinted it all up, but I do think that's really, really cool. And so that's what I think of the knife too. This is a really cool knife. Obviously not for everyone, but what a neat thing that to exist. Okay. And I'm really happy that they went ahead and did a second version of this, because I had looked around casually at an original Beast. So this is the Beast 2, aka the Grizzly. There was a Beast 1. When I do the full review, I'll roll in some pictures and stuff like that. But I had looked for one, and just ultimately they're a limited run, so I think they did a few hundred of the Beast and just stopped. And the same is true of this one. You can see right here. Where are we? Come on. There we go. 189 of 200. So this is a limited run as well. So if you want one, go over to White Mountain Knives. You can save yourself 10%. I think they go for $300. And honestly, that probably barely covers the cost of just the blade alone. There's like enough steel here to make 6 knives. So I don't think that cost is completely insane. But it is what it is. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Again, if you want one of these, go over to White Mountain Knives. If you don't want one of these, still go over to White Mountain Knives. Use my discount code. It does help the channel. And Justin is a great guy, so really good to do business with. There you go, guys. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.